As the gantry is pulled back.
I am a Negro, and I'm very
But
proud
I
of it.
remember the feeling that it left.
I walked home from school that day for lunch. I always walked home for lunch. It was 2 blocks, and my mom had my lunch ready. I ate it. As I was eating, she got a phone call, which was rare. Nobody used phones back then, and it was my dad, and he told her that the president had been shot, and she was crying. And then, of course, then I started crying. I was a fourth grader, and she sent me on back to school. Well, I got back to school, and the teachers were in the hallway crying, but the kids didn't really know what was going on yet. And because I had been out of the building, I told my class what had happened. And then within minutes, there was an announcement that the president had died. But then they dismissed us shortly after that. So I would say from the time my dad called to the time we were out of school, it couldn't have been more than an hour. And then my whole family gathered in the TV room and we watched the funeral, the funeral procession. It was pretty impactful, especially the boots on the horse. So the tradition is when someone dies, the boots are backwards on a horse in the procession. And that really got to all of us too. I was about 9 when it happened. So death was something a little different. I had not experienced my grandparents or anyone dying yet. And the president, again, the president was somebody I knew of. My mom was Catholic, so believe it, we had a picture of the first Catholic president in our house. So I knew who he was and what he looked like. But overall, I didn't know what the impact would be. But because my mom and my teachers were all crying, it made me want to cry, and I'm sure I did. And then in the next few days, the whole country went on pause. You know, um, I think it was 3 days before they had the funeral, and really, my dad stayed home from work those 3 days, or however many it was. The funeral was on the television, and probably one of the first things that was on nationally. And I'm quite certain, is in my small town of Alton, where everyone stopped. I am certain the country stopped too. And it was, scary. What comes next?